This just in this morning, Time Magazine has announced the 2022 Person of the Year. Who had the greatest influence on the events that you saw play out? Let's see who some of the finalists were. Elon Musk, Chinese President Xi Jinping, protesters in Iran, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Congresswoman Liz Cheney. But the winner is Ukraine's President Zelensky, now battling his 10th month of war against the Russians ever since Putin invaded his country. And speaking of, Ukraine's military this morning says that at least 2 people are dead, several have been wounded after heavy Russian shelling targeted the civilian areas of the Donetsk and Kherson region. Meantime, in the midst of the fighting, there is some good news for families ahead of the holidays. Ukrainian soldiers returning home in a big prisoner exchange. CNN's Will Ripley has the exclusive reporting from Kyiv.
At an undisclosed location near the Russian border, 2 buses arrive with 60 Ukrainian soldiers, prisoners of war just released in a POW swap with Russia. 2 women, 58 men, their first minutes of freedom. This Marine tells me about his 4-year-old daughter. It's so emotional, he says. I can't wait to tell her I love her and that I've missed her so much. Some are parents, others grandparents, most defenders of Mariupol, the southern Ukrainian port city that fell to the Russians in May. All of us from Mariupol worry so much, he says. We lost the city. We couldn't fight them off. We don't know how people will react to us. They'll get a hero's welcome, of course. As we go inside, they each get a cell phone. The first time they've called their families in months. How's mom? How's dad? He asks. Are they alive? Their bodies bear the scars of months of captivity. We didn't have any medical treatment, he says. It's been 8 days since he's had a shower. A lot of these guys have physical injuries, scars, but the emotional scars, the mental scars from this kind of hellish ordeal are going to take even longer to heal. One of the 2 rescued women, a radio intelligence operator, describes months of psychological torture, lies that half of Ukraine was now part of Russia, brainwashing, forced to read Russian poetry, sing Russian songs, pledge loyalty to Mother Russia. I wondered, when will this be over, she says. And now you're here. Sorry for my tears. For this former POW, there are no tears left. Her 6-year-old daughter is still in occupied Mariupol. She has no way to contact her, or her husband, a sailor. They surrendered on the same day. How does it feel to be out and know that your husband's still there, still in Russia? I worry so much about him, she says. They torture men much more than women. She's not ready to talk about how she was physically treated. She, like everyone here, just wants to see family, wants to go home. For most from devastated and occupied Mariupol, going home is not an option. One of the first things they did was sing the Ukrainian anthem that you heard the beginning of there, because in Russia, every day they were forced to wake up at 6 a.m. to the Russian anthem, and they said all they wanted to do was be back on their home soil. They are now back on their home soil, but it is a long road ahead. They don't get to go directly home, one, because many of their homes have been destroyed in Mariupol, but also they need to go through a rehabilitation program to try to transition back to normal life. And after everything, all of the horrific things they experienced and they've been through, Caitlin, it's going to be a very tough recovery for these men and women.
Yeah, it's hard to see what a normal life is like for them. Will Ripley, thank you. Don, Poppy, just hearing those stories of those people who they're released from being prisoners of war, but now they're still separated from their families. They're still trying to figure out what life looks like now.
And you're so right. There is no normalcy after that.